Meanwhile, evidence laying blame for the MH17 disaster has erupted out of many countries since the crash on July 17th. It's become a confusing list of evidence and a rather uninteresting blame game before an independent investigation into the crash is completed. The U.S. has released evidence it claims shows it detected a missile launch from a rebel-controlled region of eastern Ukraine at the time of the crash and has pointed to social media as evidence of an SA-11 Buk weapon system being transported across the border from Russia. Ukraine and the West contend the plane was shot down by the rebels with a Russian-supplied missile. Russia has stated a Ukrainian military aircraft was tailing Flight 17 just before it fell from the sky. Then Ukraine published satellite images trying to prove that its own surface-to-air missiles were not in the area of the crash when the plane went down. Now, the Russian Defense Ministry is the latest to come out to dispute the Ukrainian images, calling them, quote, an exercise in conspiracy theories. Something all sides have said about the other's evidence in some way or another. RT correspondent ゚゚゚゚ Galushko reports on Russia's findings.
Well, actually, to put it bluntly, they're saying that everything that Ukraine has presented as evidence is, to put it simply, is a lie. And here's why. First of all, we're looking at a group of images that show a different time and date. Why they were presented as evidence by Ukraine is completely unclear. Secondly, there is a group of images which bears a date that was falsified, and that could be proven by detailed analysis of weather conditions on a particular location on that day. Finally, there's a third group of images which, according to Ministry of Defense, show that they have been doctored or altered digitally, obviously played with by the Ukrainian side. On top of that, Ukrainians have alleged that they have images which supposedly show the movement of Russia's military machinery across the border. Now, Ministry of Defense says that the quality of images does not really allow to make that statement. First of all, they do not have a date stamp, or it is impossible to say where and when those images were taken because they do not have geographical coordinates on them. None of the images show a road that crosses the border. Therefore, SBU's unsubstantiated claims that the tracks were made by Russian military simply do not hold up to scrutiny. On top of that, the image quality is really poor, and therefore it is impossible to say whether those tire tracks are indeed from a military vehicle and not, for example, from something else. And of course, it is even less possible to say that those vehicles actually do belong to Russia. Thereby, the Ministry of Defense says that all evidence that was presented by Ukraine simply does not bear up to scrutiny.
That was RT correspondent ゚゚゚ Galushko.